My fiance's betrayal detonated my life at 25. Wedding invites torn like funeral confetti across the floor as he confessed to a hotel keycard accident. Our suburban nest erupted in smashed faces and screams the neighbors ignored. By midnight, I fled. Duffels stuffed with clothes, half-packed albums, toiletries scattered like debris. My sedan shot toward Phoenix, the desert promising rebirth, far from his stain. Coyotes mocked from the flats as the dashboard blinked 1:15 a.m., every headlight behind me a phantom stalker, radio ballads twisting into dirges mirroring the chaos inside me. Fatigue dragged at my bones until a worn truck stop appeared under a half-hearted moon. My tank gasped empty. Gravel hissed faint warnings as I pulled in. The pumps buzzed like uneasy sentries. Shadows pooled thick in the corners. While fueling, I texted my location to a trusted friend. My only tether angry rock pulsed from the speakers, drowning the storm in my chest. Then doom arrived in a rusted Silverado, its scars reflecting my own. 4 men spilled out, driver mid-40s with a dead-eye stare freezing me in place. The trio behind him wore grins sharpened into threats. Their whispers floated in Mandarin. Taiyan Ye Li, don't miss this chance. Terror ignited. I lunged for the ignition, but a hand clamped it down. Stay the hell back. I screamed, too late. Chaos erupted. Boots crushed toes, fists dropped like hail. A palm smothered my cries. Such a feisty little firecracker, one mocked. I raked my nails across his face, blood rising like proof of guilt. But they overpowered me. Zip ties bit my wrists as they hauled me into the truck. Every rut on the dirt road jolted a new plea from my throat. Why me? Just let me disappear. A decrepit lodge materialized, its flickering sign begging for mercy of its own. Sweet Four's lock clicked like a verdict. Inside, filth reigned, cans, chip bags, the stench of booze and rot. They tied me to a chair, wrists overhead, ankles strapped wide. Make me forgettable, just let me go, I pleaded. More Mandarin murmurs slithered around me, warning, mocking, sealing my dread. Torment blurred into timeless cycles. Neon light through curtains became my only anchor, as pain washed in relentless waves. Then a burp broke the trance. Fridge is empty. Ice run. The scrawniest of them was left to guard me, twitching with nerves. As the others left, gravel crunch fading, silence tightened like a noose. I forced a whisper. I need the bathroom, or I'll make a mess right here. His hesitation cracked. He sawed at the ties. The moment he turned to the sink, I bolted, door exploding open, wrists tearing, feet slapping cold pavement as I sprinted naked into the night, a pickup's headlights carved salvation. A weathered rancher stepped out, thermos in hand. Ma'am, did the world end on you? They took me. Call the police. I gasped. His radio crackled to life. Soon, a precinct's flickering lights wrapped me in safety. Nurses slipping scrubs over trembling skin as kids collected evidence. My father's voice on the phone cracked through oceans of fear. By morning, cops dragged the 4 men into custody. Their drunk confusion collapsed under forensic truth. They were sentenced to decades. Austin became my refuge. Healing stitched itself slowly through its hum, but night still ambushed me. Zip-tie memories tightening in dreams. I avoid isolated stops. Keys stay clenched, pepper spray always ready. My new partner can't grasp the razor edge I now walk, but I live with it, forged by survival. In therapy and journals, I transcribe the echoes, not to silence them, but to ensure they're never lost again. The engagement ring glared at me from the bathroom sink, its diamond flashing like a cruel joke. Once a promise, now a reminder of betrayal exposed through anonymous DMs that blew apart our quiet Kansas life. Our thin walls echoed with screams, his pleas buried beneath my sobs, as I hurled the ring into the street, watching it skitter away like something foul. At 3:45 a.m., fueled by rage and heartbreak, I stuffed my small car with the torn remains of our life. Clothes, books, memories that now felt like shrapnel, and sped into the night, leaving suburbia's suffocating cage behind as the engine groaned like my own tightening throat. The highway blurred into endless lines as betrayal replayed in vicious flashes. His voice, his touch, now poisoned. Hours later, thirst clawed at my throat as a lonely service plaza appeared under harsh halogen lights. I pulled in, heart jittering from imagined headlights behind me. While fueling, I doom-scrolled through social media, thumb hovering over the block button, a digital execution I couldn't yet bring myself to perform. To drown the silence, loud revenge pop vibrated through the car, each lyric echoing the storm inside me. Then an F-150 roared in with territorial menace, its scarred grille glinting like a threat shadows spilled from the truck. 4 men, eyes sharp with predatory intent. The driver, wiry and coiled, stared at me with a poisonous smirk that froze the blood in my veins. His crew followed, hulking silhouettes whispering like the wind carried warnings. My forced smile cracked. Fear surged. Instinct screamed. I twisted the gas cap shut, grabbed my keys, and sprinted to the door, yelling, "Back off!" My cries shattered the emptiness, but their advance was a tidal wave. Hands clamped my mouth, legs, arms, one sneering, "Keep struggling, honey." I clawed one across the face, drawing blood, but it only fueled their grip as they shoved me into the cab, their weight crushing me like a coffin lid. We tore down dirt roads, their crude Portuguese jabs sharpening my terror. The truck halted at a decaying roadside inn, its vacancy sign peeling like dead skin. They dragged me into room 12, a fist smashed into my temple when I screamed. Bound to the bed with cords biting into my skin, duct tape restraining every limb. I begged, "I'll disappear forever. Just let me go." Their muttered phrases, "Ella é fraca, mas bonita," mixed with the filth of the room, rotting pizza boxes, cigarette-stained carpet, the TV flickering useless miracles. Hours blurred into torment until thirst shattered their rhythm. One complained, "Cooler's empty, booze run." They drew lots. The youngest, twitchy and acne-scarred, was left behind like a nervous guard dog. When they left, silence thickened. I whispered, "Water. I'm dehydrated. I'll pass out. You'll have to deal with that." His shaky resolve cracked. He cut my restraints with hesitant slashes. As he turned to the sink, I bolted, bursting into cold rain, feet pounding pavement, lungs blazing as I sprinted naked across the lot. A semi hissed to a halt beside me, air brakes sighing like fate itself. The driver, an older vet, stared wide-eyed. "Kid, what happened to you?" "Abducted from a gas plaza. Please call for help." His radio crackled to life as he pulled me into safety. At the outpost clinic, nurses wrapped me in scrubs while evidence kits cataloged every wound. My sister's voice on the phone finally broke the dam of panic. By noon, police had the 4 men in cuffs. Their slurred, drunk confusion excuses collapsed under the weight of truth. They were locked into the ledger of kidnapping and assault. Facing decades behind bars, I moved to Portland, its fog soft against the fractures inside me. Flashbacks still ambushed the quiet. I never drive alone. Pepper spray always clipped to my hip. My new partner doesn't understand the edge I carry, the shadows I track. But I know what I am now. Forged from fear, tempered in survival. My journals hold every echo. My voice refuses silence. The breakup hit like a freight train barreling through the fragile scaffolding of my life at 24. My boyfriend's betrayal exposed in a merciless flurry of incriminating texts I stumbled upon by accident, each message a dagger twisting deeper into the trust we'd built over years of shared dreams and quiet nights. Our cozy apartment in the heart of Oklahoma's dusty plains transformed overnight into a chaotic war zone, walls reverberating with the sharp echoes of hurled accusations, plates shattering against the floor like brittle promises, and picture frames splintering under the weight of my raw, unfiltered fury, heart pounding with a volatile cocktail of rage and heartbreak, veins thrumming with the electric surge of betrayal. I snatched my keys from the cluttered kitchen counter at the stroke of midnight, the metal cold and unforgiving in my trembling palm. Tires screeched in protest as I floored the accelerator, peeling away from that suffocating hellhole of memories toward the distant, glittering promise of Dallas's urban sprawl, a beacon of anonymity where I could perhaps stitch together the frayed edges of my shattered self. Rain began to lash the windshield with a relentless fury, each drop a stinging accusation, mirroring the tears that blurred my vision, wipers slapping futilely against the onslaught, like futile attempts to erase the pain adrenaline coursed through me, a double-edged sword masking the bone-deep exhaustion that clawed at my edges. But by 2:30 a.m., my hands trembled uncontrollably on the steering wheel, knuckles white as ghosts, the endless interstate unfolding before me like a black ribbon of unresolved regret, snaking through thunderous skies, pregnant with unspoken storms. Every fleeting shadow cast by passing semis loomed menacingly in my periphery, morphing into the accusatory silhouette of his ghost, whispering litanies of my perceived failures, too clingy, too demanding, too everything, that I'd sworn to outrun in this desperate bid for reinvention. A jagged neon gash suddenly scarred the enveloping darkness ahead. A derelict gas station perched like a forgotten sentinel on the highway's shoulder, its pumps standing guard under the stuttering, erratic glow of flickering sodium lights that buzzed like trapped insects. My dashboard's fuel gauge sputtered urgent warnings, the needle dipping perilously close to empty. There was no choice but to stop, no margin for pride or paranoia in this desolate stretch, heart racing from the phantom chases of my mind. Imagined headlights tailing me, his voice echoing in the rear view. I veered sharply off the exit ramp, gravel crunching ominously beneath my tires, like the grinding of bones under immense pressure. The lot stretched out as a vast, echoing void, empty pumps mocking my profound isolation with their silent indifference, the wind howling mournfully through the skeletal branches of surrounding pines, like a chorus of banshees urging immediate retreat into the safety of motion. I jammed the nozzle into the tank with forceful determination, the fuel glugging greedily into the void, a mechanical rhythm that did little to steady my fraying nerves, and yanked out my phone from the cup holder, fingers flying across the screen, in a desperate bid to tether myself to normalcy. I texted a lifeline to the one constant in my unraveling world, almost to Dallas. Miss you already, Mom. Love you more than words. But the isolation clawed deeper still, an insidious beast gnawing at the edges of my resolve. To combat it, I cranked up a playlist of heartbreak anthems from the car's tinny speakers, the volume turned to ear-splitting levels, to drown out the insidious doubts, whispering that this escape was just another illusion. That's precisely when the beast announced its arrival. A hulking pickup truck thundering into the lot with the ferocity of an invading force, its high-beam headlights slashing through the curtain of rain, like sharpened knives intent on carving out vulnerability. The engine growling a deep, guttural predator's challenge that vibrated through the ground and into my bones. It claimed the opposite bump with the predatory precision of a hunter staking territory, doors creaking open on rusty hinges to disgorge shadowy figures that uncoiled from within like tendrils of smoke escaping a smoldering fire. I froze mid-scroll on my phone, my pulse jackhammering against my ribs in erratic tattoo as the driver emerged first, a veritable mountain of a man, his faded flannel shirt clinging damply to rain-slicked muscles honed by hard labor, the brim of his worn baseball cap pulled low over eyes that locked onto me with a feral, unblinking hunger that sent icy rivulets of dread cascading down my spine. This was no casual glance, no polite acknowledgement of shared midnight solitude. It was a stare that methodically stripped away my defenses, layer by layer, promising unspeakable violations in its unwavering intensity. My reflexive smile faltered on my lips, crumbling into a brittle, ineffective shield against the rising tide of unease that swiftly bloomed into full-blown terror as two more figures materialized from the truck's cluttered bed, their hulking forms flanking the driver like ominous sentinels, grins splitting their weathered faces like treacherous cracks, propagating through thin ice under mounting pressure. The very air around us crackled with unspoken electricity. Wrong, all wrong, every instinct screaming invasion, their low whispers carrying faintly on the howling wind, laced with a menace that twisted my gut into knots of nauseating anticipation. There was no time left for rational thought or measured retreat. I slammed the nozzle back into its cradle with frantic urgency, the gas cap twisting shut under my slick, fumbling fingers that betrayed the storm within, keys jangling like discordant alarms, bells in the depths of my pocket as I lunged toward the sanctuary of my car door. But they moved with the swift, coordinated inevitability of lightning striking dry tinder, inescapable, elemental. A calloused hand clamped down on my wrist like a manacle forged in hell as I grasped the handle. I unleashed a scream that ripped from the primal depths of my soul, raw and piercing, kicking wildly at shins that yielded not an inch, unyielding as forged iron under assault. Get off me. Somebody help, please. God, help. Chaos erupted in a whirlwind of visceral violence, my nails raking desperately across exposed flesh, drawing rivulets of blood that mingled with the relentless rain in dark, accusing streaks. But what had been 3 shadows swelled to 4 in a horrifying swarm, overwhelming my frantic flails with the sheer, brute numerical superiority. One burly assailant pinned my arms behind my back with crushing force, his breath hot and fouled with the stench of cheap whiskey assaulting my ear as he growled low and menacing. Quiet down, darling. Make this easy on yourself. While another hoisted my thrashing legs off the ground, my skirt hiking up involuntarily in the futile struggle, exposing vulnerabilities I fought to conceal. Bruises bloomed instantaneously across my skin, like dark flowers unfurling in fire-lit veins, a burning testament to their dominance, as they bundled me bodily toward the yawning, black maw of the truck's open rear door. I was thrown unceremoniously across their laps in the cramped confines of the back seat, the torn vinyl upholstery biting into my skin through the thin barrier of my damp clothes, every jolt eliciting fresh waves of tears that soaked my collar. I bucked and twisted like a wild, cornered animal, sobs choking the screams that tore from my throat in ragged bursts. But their collective weight anchored me immovably, thighs like unyielding anvils pressing down, hands roaming with the entitled greed of conquerors claiming spoils. Keep fighting all you want, sweetheart. It only turns us on more. One of them leered through tobacco-stained teeth, his laughter bubbling up venomous and infectious among the group, a toxic chorus that amplified my horror. Desperation birthed a savage resolve within me. I scratched deep into the nearest arm, epidermis parting under my nails in ragged furrows, vowing silently to the indifferent night, "Leave your DNA here, let it damn you in the light of day." The truck's engine roared brutally to life, headlights carving treacherous tunnels through the enveloping storm. My abandoned SUV receding in the rain-streaked rearview mirror, like a discarded husk of my former life, left vulnerable and alone. Bumps and ruts jarred my bones mercilessly on the twisting back roads they veered onto, minutes stretching into agonizing eternities, punctuated by their mutterings, a guttural symphony of crude anticipation that hung heavy in the cab like a shroud. The motel materialized abruptly from the gloom, a sagging, decrepit beast hunkered off the grid like a predator in wait, its vacancy sign flickering erratically like the dying pulse of some forgotten heart. The rain hammered down in sheets as they dragged me across the sharp gravel lot that shredded the soles of my bare feet, shoes lost in the scuffle, my cries swallowed whole by the thunder's indifferent rumble. Room 7 loomed, door splintered at the edges from past abuses. They shoved me inside to the sallow, jaundiced light of a single bare bulb, revealing a tableau of abject squalor. Beer cans piled in precarious avalanches on every available surface. Fast food wrappers feral and scattered underfoot, like debris from a raid. The air thick and cloying with the rot of prolonged unholy siege. The eldest among them, a scar-lipped tyrant with eyes like chipped flint, backhanded me viciously across the face to the sagging mattress. Coppery blood bloomed hot on my tongue, stars exploding in a kaleidoscope behind my eyelids, as pain radiated. "Scream all you want, that just equals more pain coming your way," he snarled, his fists clenching with the promise of further brutality, veins bulging like rivers of wrath. They bound me then with ruthless efficiency, a thick leather belt cinching my wrists behind my back until circulation throbbed in protest, paracord biting deep into my ankles with knots of amateur savagery that chafed skin raw. Panic swirled in a disorienting vortex around me. "Please, God, I'll vanish into thin air. I swear on my life and everything holy. No one will ever know, I promise." My pleas dissolved into heaving sobs as fragments of Spanish hissed venomously among them. "Mira esa lucha en sus ojos. La vamos a romper como a una muñeca." Each syllable a fragment fueling the bonfire of my dread. The room's pervasive fetor amplified my crushing isolation. Days, perhaps weeks, of unchecked debauchery etched indelibly into the very stains on the walls and sheets. The TV droning endless infomercials in the corner, like an ironic, mocking escape hatch, forever out of reach. Hell itself descended in measured rotations of unspeakable violation. pain unfolding as a discordant symphony that eroded the foundations of my very self, dissociation becoming my only frail raft, adrift on seas of agony, floating detached above the fray, cataloging in numb detail the chipped paint secrets of the headboard, the relentless tattoo of rain against the thin window pane, like fingers drumming impatience. Time fractured into shards until a guttural growl pierced the haze. Beer's all gone. Time to refill the arsenal, boys. Debate crackled sharply in the fetid air. The runt of the litter, 25-ish with eyes darting like those of cornered feral rats, drew the unlucky straw for guard duty. Heavy boots thudded in unison toward the exit, the door slamming with grim finality that reverberated through my bones, leaving us cocooned in a pressurized hush, thick with unspoken threats. He paced the narrow confines like a caged beast, his Zippo lighter flicking open and shut in rhythmic betrayal of his fraying nerves, his avoidance of my gaze a glaring tell of his own unease. A spark of calculated opportunity ignited in the recesses of my mind. Bathroom, right now, or I'll soil your entire hellhole and make this unbearable for you too. Reluctance warred visibly across his features, a crack in the facade. Finally, he knelt with grudging compliance, the blade of his pocket knife sawing through the bonds with clumsy haste, his fingers brushing my skin and sending waves of visceral revulsion crashing over me. Ankles freed first, then wrists loosed in turn. He turned momentarily to double-check the window locks with paranoid fervor. In that split-second hesitation, I exploded into motion, vaulting from the bed like a coiled spring unleashed, yanking the door wide with every ounce of remaining strength. The storm's cold slap a euphoric kiss of freedom against my fevered skin. His desperate grab snagged at my arm. "You bitch, get back here." But I twisted free with a savage wrench, slick with a lethal mixture of sweat and rain, bolting headlong into the maelstrom of the night. The sprint was lightning-edged down the mud-slick access road, naked vulnerability a defiant howl hurled against the merciless elements, every puddle splashing accusations of exposure. Then, salvation pierced the downpour. Headlights from a lone sedan crawling along the adjacent highway. Like a hesitant lifeline, I flung myself before it in a desperate crucifixion of arms, outstretched, my scream shattering the night into 1,000 jagged pieces. Brakes wailed in protest as the car skidded to a halt, mere inches from my quivering knees. The window cranked down, laboriously by a silver-foxed elder, his glasses fogged with condensation and shock. "Lady, are you trying to get yourself suicidal killed out here?" "Kidnapped. From the gas station. They took me. Help me, please." His expression shifted from bewildered irritation to grim, resolute action in an instant. The passenger door popped open with a click, and I collapsed inside the relative sanctuary, his radio crackling to life as he summoned sirens with urgent precision while punching the accelerator toward the nearest speck of civilization. The police station's harsh fluorescent glare assaulted my senses like judgmental spotlights. Oversized scrubs swaddled my fragile, battered form in itchy anonymity, statements spilling from my lips in incoherent torrents of fragmented horror. "We need to get you to the hospital for the full evidence collection," the officers urged with professional detachment, the cold ritual of the rape kit looming like an unwelcome specter on the horizon. But in that moment of raw vulnerability, my deepest craving was not procedure, but the soothing timbre of Mom's voice over the wire, a balm to cauterize the wounds no swab could touch. The raid on the motel was swift and surgical. 5 brothers hauled out in handcuffs that bit as deep as their sins, their alibis of wasted blackout drunk, crumbling to dust under the irrefutable testimony of the Scratch's crimson map, life sentences stacked like indictments of the soul, aggravated assault, kidnapping, and the indelible bartering of innocence. My westward flight carried me to the fog-shrouded arms of Seattle, where therapy sessions unspooled the tangled nightmares of lapse, crushing down, breaths mingling in unwilling intimacy. No more solo stops at night pumps, phone forever holstered away in crowded throngs, my scans of surroundings eternal and unyielding. My partner often deems it excessive paranoia, a shadow too long. I counter that it's forged steel, tempered in the crucible. That fateful storm didn't birth weakness in me, but a wildfire of resilience. Self-defense dojo's now my sacred altar, my voice an amplifier for the silenced screams of others who walk similar shadowed paths. Run from the darkness, never again. Now I chase the shadows myself, unyielding and unafraid, a testament to survival's fierce alchemy.